Shri Radha Madhava ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 3, chapter 29, verse 36. Etad Bhagavato Rupam. Etad Bhagavato Rupam. Brahmanaha Paramatmanaha. Brahmanav Paramatmanaha. Param Pradhanam Purusham. Param Pradhanam Purusham. Daivam Karma Vicheshtitam. Daiva Karma Vicheshtitam. Prabhus? Mothers, Vaishnavis, Etad, this, Bhagavataha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rupam, what does it mean, Rupam? Form. Form. Brahmanaha, of the Brahmanan, of the Brahman. Parama Atmanaha, of Paramatma. Param, transcendental. Pradhanam, chief. Purusham, personality. Daivam, spiritual. Karma Vicheshtitam, whose activities. Translation. This Purusha, who is the individual soul, must approach. This Purusha, whom the individual soul must approach in the eternal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is known as Brahman and Paramatma. He is transcendental chief personality, and his activities are all spiritual. Purport. In order to distinguish the personality whom the individual soul must approach, it is described herein that this Purusha, the personality of Godhead, is the chief among all living entities and is the ultimate form of the impersonal Brahman effulgence and Paramatma manifestation. Since he is the origin of the Brahman effulgence and Paramatma manifestation, he is described here as the chief personality. It is confirmed in the Katha Upanishad, Nityo Nityanam. There are many eternal living entities, but he is the chief manifestation. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita also, where the Lord says, Aham sarvasya prabhavaha. I am the origin of everything, including the Brahman effulgence and Paramatma manifestation. His activities are transcendental, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Janma karma chame divyam. The activities and the appearance and disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are transcendental. They are not to be considered material. Anyone who knows this fact, that the appearance, disappearance, and activities of the Lord are beyond material activities or material conception, is liberated. Yo veti tattvataha tyaktvam deha punarjanma. Such a person, after quitting his body, does not come back again to the material world, but goes to the Supreme Person. It is confirmed here, Purusham vrajet. The living entity goes to the Supreme Personality simply by understanding his transcendental nature and activities. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kalamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adigora Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna and welcome everyone. There's a beautiful verse by the end of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Shukadev Goswami, he says that it glorifies Srimad Bhagavatam, saying that Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. Oh, this Srimad Bhagavatam, it is a Puranam Amalam. Amala means spotless, and Purana means it's a spotless Purana. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. Oh, this Srimad Bhagavatam is so very kind and so very dear to the Vaishnavas. Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. Yasmin Paramahamsam Ekam Amalam. Even the great Paramahamsas, even the great liberated souls, even they are appreciating Srimad Bhagavatam. Jnanam Param Giyate. It propagates the absolute truth, the highest truth. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam Yasmin paramahamsyam ekam amalam jnanam param giyate. Then he says that tatra jnanam viragya bhakti sahitam naishkarmyam avishkritam. Avishkritam means launches, propagates. And what does Srimad Bhagavatam propagates? Tatra jnanam vairagyam bhakti sahitam naishkarmyam. Naishkarmyam means activities without fruitive desire. And when there are no fruitive desires, they are avishkritam. They are, you don't get any reactions from them. So this is like a selfless work accompanied with tatra jnanam, with knowledge, vairagyam, detachment, and predominantly with tatra jnanam, vairagyam, bhakti sahitam. So it propagates devotional service. Tachrinvan, when we hear about it, supatan, when we study, when we repeat it, vicharana paro, bhaktya vimuchye nara, that the living entity will become, will attain pure love for Godhead. So Srimad Bhagavatam is so very special. I read the verse one more time. The Purusha who is the individual soul must, the Purusha whom the individual soul must approach in the eternal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Brahman and Paramatma. He is transcendental chief personality and his activities are all spiritual. Prahlad Maharaj, in the seventh canto, he is saying that Manye dana abhijana rupa tapa shruta ojas. He is saying that Manye dana aham manye, it is my opinion that the living entity cannot approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead with dana. Dana means what does dana means? Yeah, charity. Dana, abhijana, his aristocratic relatives. Shruta is learning. Ojas, sensory expertise. Manye dana abhijana rupa tapa shruta ojas. Teja. What is teja? Some intensity, power. Prabhava, bhala is also bhala is strength. Buddhi is intelligence. Yoga, even if you are a mystic yogi, like for example Durvasa Muni, he was such a yogi. If he tells you, you become a crocodile, you become a crocodile. If he says a dead man stand up, a dead corpus will stand up. He could swim in the air and he could fly under the water. He was such a yogi. But he could not attract the mercy of the Lord based on his abilities. So Prahlad Maharaj, this is 977, he says that based individually on all these strengths, or all these put together, all these 11 things put together, na aradhanaya. Radhanaya means to worship. Na aradhanaya means you cannot, na aradhanaya hi bhavanti parasya pumso, that the pumso, a living entity, cannot please the Supreme Lord based on all these things. So if you want to approach Krishna, you have only one option. Bhaktya tutosha bhagavan gajayutapaya. He says, but if you have bhakti, Krishna cannot find any fault in all of that. If you're gonna love Krishna, if you're gonna reach Krishna, the only way you got is by loving him. And he gives the example of Bhaktya tutosha bhagavan gajayutapaya. He says, oh, just look at Gajendra. What qualification did he had? You know, he didn't have a human form of body, and in English they say as dull as elephant. And look at Gajendra. He attained Krishna based on that helpless crying out after Krishna. Shri Prahlad Lakshmi Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai. And a very simple definition of bhakti is doing things for Krishna's pleasure. It is not what you are doing, but how you are doing what you are doing. That is bhakti. And if you have bhakti, you have everything. Even if you don't have anything and you have bhakti, you still have everything. And if you have many things and have bhakti, you still have everything. What is the praman? What is the proof for that? Rupa Goswami says, he's saying that Vyadasya charanam druvas chavaya vidyah gajendrasya ka kubjayah kim unamarupam adikam kim tatsudam nodanam vamsah ko vidurasya yadava pater ugrasya kim paurusham bhaktim tushyati kevalam nacha gunair bhakti priyamadava. If you are not old, can you have bhakti if you are not 50 years old? Or you can have bhakti only when you get old? Any age. What is the proof? Prahlad Maharaj, yeah. Rupa Goswami, he says that Vyada Sya Charanam Dhruva. Dhruva, Shcha Vaya. Vaya means age. Where was the age of Dhruva Maharaj? Look at him, he was like 5 years old, and in 6 months he got the darshan of the Lord. Where was the age of Dhruva Maharaj? Do you have to have PhD to get the mercy of the Lord? No. What is the proof? Double PhD? Double PhD? No. What is the proof? Who? Gopis? Gopis. Gopis didn't have any PhD. Vyadasyachar. Jada Bharat. Jada Bharat was perceived by living entities as not so intelligent. Some other examples. Rupa Goswami, he says, Vidya, the knowledge, Gajendrasya Ka. Ka means there was the knowledge of Gajendra. Do you have to be very handsome? Do you have to be beautiful to attract the mercy of Krishna? Or if you are not so beautiful, Krishna will not look at you. Krishna will not accept you. Even if you are a crocodile. Whoa! Elephant, yes. Krishna makes a discrimination. Just look at this Krishna. So Prabhuji, he is saying that you have to be beautiful in order for Krishna to accept you. At least like an elephant. Yes. Vyadasya charanam druvas chavaya vidyah gajendrasya ka kubjaya kim where kubjaya kim unamarupam. Where was the beauty? Where was the form of kubja? Just look at that hunched lady who was serving a fallen demoniac person. Where was the beauty of kubja? But just see Krishna, how much mercy and how much full-heartedly Krishna accepted kubja. Do you have to be very rich in order for Krishna to accept you? Like you have to make at least 50K per year. No 50K, no, Krishna will not accept you. True or not true? It's not true. What is the proof? Sudama, yeah. Sudan. Kim tad Sudamno danam. Kim tad Sudamno of Sudama danam. Where was the wealth of Sudama? And just look at Krishna. He loves Sudama so much. Vyadasya charanam druvashchavaya vidyah kachendrasyaka kubjayah kimunama rupam adikam kim tad Sudamno danam. Do you have to be born in a Brahmin family in order for Krishna to accept you? If you're born in the West, nah. No. What is the proof? So many proofs we have here. Yeah. Rupa Goswami says, Vamsah ko Vidura. Oh, look at Vidura. Where was the birth of Vidura? He was born from a maidservant. Do you have to be very powerful in order for Krishna to accept you? No, and he's giving an example of King Ugrasena. He was defamed, he was imprisoned, and look at Krishna, he takes his shoes and he carries upon his head. Yeah, if you have bhakti, and if you have opulence, you have everything. If you don't have, even if you don't have any opulence, but if you have bhakti, Krishna can't find any fault in what you are doing. This class is a little bit spontaneous, and I apologize for it. For the end, I want to share, it's not related, unfortunately, to the verse, but I want to share a beautiful story, and it's we were listening to the class of one Maharaj, and he was emphasizing about Chaitanya Chandra Maharaj. He was emphasizing about devotional service, and he was comparing it to a pot. And he was emphasizing on the importance of devotional service, and he's saying, but if this pot have a hole, and if it is constantly leaking, you may be pouring nectar up there, but if it is constantly leaking, then you end up in a bad position. And he compared that hole on the pot with Vaishnava Parad. And can you think about Vaishnava Aparad within Srimad Bhagavatam? What are the examples of Vaishnava Aparad in Srimad Bhagavatam? Durvasa Muni, he offended Vaishnava, he offended Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish Maharaj didn't even do a mistake, technically, and Durvasa Muni got so upset, he cursed him, he created a demon and he wanted to kill him, and Sudarshan Chakra, Ambarish Maharaj was fearless, and Sudarshan Chakra came chasing Durvasa Muni. He went even to the higher planets, he went even to Narayan, and nobody could help him. Only the one person to whom he went back to Ambarish Maharaj, and he fell on the ground, and Ambarish Maharaj, he was like, devotees are so nice. Like, he picks him up, he embraces him, and he says, what offense, like, you haven't done any mistake. Some other examples of Vaishnava Parad. Maharaj Parikshit offended whom? He offended Shamika Rishi. Shamika Rishi was a great sage. These families, they had powers, and we see that because of Shringi. Although he is a small boy, he has such a training that he can curse, and those words, they have power. So Shamika Rishi is a great devotee, and Parikshit Maharaj, somehow or other, he offended him. some other examples. Tejas, not Tejas. Thakur Haridas.
No, he's never offended.
He's never offended. Okay. Yeah.
There is, I think his name was Ramachandra Puri, and
Mhm.
there is also Ishwar Puri's
Mm-hmm.
student, and when Ishwar Puri is about to die, and he's lamenting that I'm about to die, and I still couldn't remember, I still cannot, something like, have Krishna in my heart, I can't reach Krishna, I will die without this, and when Ramachandra Puri comes and criticizes his spiritual master, and then it is said that while Ramachandra Puri did this, Madhavendra Puri helped with every bodily need of his spiritual master. And because of this, Ishvara Puri achieved prema, but Ramachandra Puri later criticized even Chaitanya and no one liked him.
Actually, in Chaitanya, thank you. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have many examples. One of the best examples we could come up is, you won't believe it, it is actually Daksha. Long time ago, Daksha, he gave his daughter Sati in marriage, but he didn't like Lord Shiva. And there was some enmity going on for a long time. And then once upon a time, when Prajapati, he appointed Daksha as the main leader of the sacrifice, he is coming through the door, he is effulgent, everybody pays obeisances and respect to him, except Lord Vishnu and Shiva. And this was the point when all that anger, enmity, ill feelings, they just came out in a very ugly way. And he starts criticizing Lord Shiva. He says that, oh, look at Sati, she has eyes like a deer, like lotus eyes. But look at Shiva, he has like a monkey eyes. And he criticizes Shiva, he associates with fallen people, he is only good leader for them, and so forth. And he loses the track, and he goes on even pointing finger on his own spiritual master. He says that, I didn't want to give Sati to him. It is actually the fault of my spiritual master. Lord Brahma, he told me, and because of it I did it. And some cursing was going on here. Shiva left, and you think the story ends here. And the whole story comes up, this is the beginning of the 4th canto. The 4th canto speaks about the lineage of Swayambhuva Manu. Swayambhuva Manu is the first Manu. He had 5 kids, 3 daughters, 2 sons. Akuti, Devahuti, Prasuti, Uttanapad, and King Priyavrat Maharaj. So the whole lineage in the first chapter, it goes on explaining that, oh, this son got married to this person, they had these and these kids, this and this happened. And you have those big lineages. And when it comes to Prasuti, all the Shukadeva Goswami is saying, oh, Prasuti got married to Daksha. They had a daughter named Sati. Sati got married to Shiva. No lineage, no kids. And then Parikshit Maharaj, he asked, like, how come nothing happened there? And he says, oh, actually, Sati got so upset that she killed herself because of the fight between the father-in-law and son-in-law. And then the question comes up, Parikshit Maharaj, he asked, how comes Daksha is such an affectionate father, Lord Shiva is so kind to all living entities, how come these 2 personalities are fighting? How come? How comes? And then the story of the 4th canto, it unwinds. And it so happened that Daksha didn't like Lord Shiva. For a long time, there was that ceremony where he entered through the door and he just blasphemed Shiva. And later on, Daksha was conducting a sacrifice, And Sati wanted to go. This is the third chapter, I think, of the fourth canto. And Shiva and Sati, they're arguing back and forth. Shiva is saying, please, no, don't go. And Sati, she wants to go. And the acharyas, they're saying that, oh, actually, Sati wants to go because she wants to see if her husband is being properly respected. No other reason. So she goes there. The mother receives her with gifts, and she had sisters, and they all affectionately received Sati. But Sati saw there is no place, there is no share for Lord Shiva. She got so upset, so furious, and Karnao Pidaya Nirayadyad Akarma Ishe, that one should cover the ears, if you are a Brahmana, you should cover your ears if a devotee is being blasphemed. If you are a Kshatriya, you should cut off the tongue of an offender and then deal with it. But she was thinking, oh, I'm just a lady, what can I do? I will quit my body. So she burned in fire, and Daksha, he was such an affectionate father, but because of the enmity towards Lord Shiva, he was like hard, stone-hearted person. He was just sitting, he didn't do anything. And some of the Shiva got to know this, and he hired a hitman. His name was, what was the name? So he took out a hair and he created a fiery demon. He was black as hell, black as night. And Daksha was conducting the ceremony and the sacrifice, and far in the distance, Brahmanas could see, oh, some big clouds are coming, like some storm is coming. But no, it wasn't a storm. It was a demon accompanied with other ghosts and spirits, and they were coming back to take revenge. And so they came, some Brahmanas, they offered oblations into southern part, or I think it is the southern part, and some Ashvis came out. And the Ashvis are something like the Vishnu Dutas, and they are there to protect the ceremony, the sacrifice. So some huge war took place, and there were some personalities, like previously, when Daksha offended Shiva and chastised, criticized Shiva, there was one person, his name was Bhaga. And Bhaga, he was smiling, showing his teeth. And he was happy, oh, Shiva is being insulted. So this personality, he punched him in the face, in the teeth, and he took out all his teeth. There was another person, his name was Pusha. Pusha, when Lord Shiva was being criticized, he didn't say anything, he didn't stood up for Shiva, he was actually enjoying it, that, oh, he is getting a sauce, and he had his beard, and he was doing like this. Sometimes somebody does with the hair like this, goes to with hair like this, and then do with the beard like this. So this hitman, he came and he just teared out the beard of this Pusha. And ultimately Daksha, he was chained, and his head was tried a few times, and his head was cut off. After on the rest of the story takes place, he gets the head of a goat, and actually Daksha, he regrets and he repents, and he feels very sorry for offending Lord Shiva in this way. And actually he quits his body. He says, oh, this body is not good anymore, and he's quitting, and he will quit his body actually. Daksha, when he gets the head of a goat. So this is the story, this is the first Manvantar, first Manu. This is happening in a period of Swambhuva Manu. Daksha was a Brahmana, he was performing sacrifices, and he was very indifferent, cruel. He had heart. Then one Manvantar passes by. One Manvantar is 71 cycles of Divya Yugas, of Divya Yuga. Divya Yuga has this Kali Yuga, Treta Satya, Dvapara Yuga. So 71 cycles is one, so these 4 cycles is one Divya Yuga. 71 Divya Yugas is one Manvantar. So after Swayambhuva Manu, Priyavrat Maharaj and his descendants, they ruled during the second Manu, third Manu, fourth Manu, and here comes the story in the 5th canto, Priyavrat Maharaj, about Priyavrat Maharaj. So now in the 5th Manvantar, there is no one to rule. And then now the same Daksha from the first Manvantar, after he quitted his body, he took a new body, he's performing austerities for 4 Manvantars. That's like more than 1 billion years. That's 4 times 71 cycles of Divya Yuga. Performs so much of austerity. It is more than 1 billion years, 1,300,000,000, I don't know. And he takes birth as a son of 4th canto, end of 4th canto. No, 30th chapter. The 10 prachetas. 10 prachetas got one son, and his son, the name of the son was Daksha. And this is actually the same Daksha from 4 millenniums ago. But now he's taking birth as a Kshatriya. And the blessing is Lord Narayan, Lord himself, he told, Daksha's progeny will progenitate the whole universe. And so he got married to Panchajana is the name of the father, and he gave Asik, the daughter, to Lord Daksha. They got married, and they got 10,000 kids. These 10,000 are called Shavalashvas. And they were all boys. So now, of course, the preacher, Narada Muni, he comes and he gives a brahmachari class to them. And they understood what is the point. They all renounced. They all went back to Godhead, like, it's done. So then Daksha, he got upset, but anyways, he got 1,000 more kids. And these kids are called, I got myself in trouble. Oof. I forgot their name. Shavalashvas and Hari Ashvas. Hari Ashvas. 1,000 of them. So now again Narada Muni, he comes sometimes later and he said, look at your elder brother. Look at him. Look at all your elder brothers. They attained perfection. Why don't you just follow in their footsteps? So if you want to preach to brahmacharis, you go to, not to brahmacharis, but if you want to preach to young boys, you go to that section. You have the original preacher to the youth. And you know what happened. They also took saffron, they became brahmacharis, it was done. So now some time passes by, and Narada Muni, he is thinking, look, sorry for this. I liberated everyone from the lineage of Swayambhuva Manu. Swayambhuva Manu, Akuti Devahuti Prasuti, King Uttanapad, Priyavrat Maharaj. From Uttanapad, the descendants is Dhruva Maharaj. Later on, the 10 Prachetas, Prachina Barhi, even the Haryeshvas and Shavalashvas, I liberated all of them. And from all the lineage of Swayambhuva Manu, everybody got liberated, except this one Daksha. And previously, there's a beautiful verse. Previously, when Daksha got the blessings to progenitate the whole universe. Progenate.
Progenate is the verb and progeny is the noun.
Progenate. Yeah. To progenate the whole universe, Shukadeva Goswami says a beautiful verse. He says, actually, the Lord blesses with pure prema, and he is getting blessings, but it is actually curse. While everybody gets the blessing to swim in the ocean of prema, he is getting a blessing to swim in the ocean of material existence. So Narada Muni, he took pity upon him, and he already liberated everyone. And then Narada Muni, he is thinking, okay, if he is not coming to me, I will go to him. So Narada Muni, he goes to him, and Daksha becomes furious. He is so upset. He is saying that, oh, you are a sadhu. You are not a sadhu. You are not a holy person. You are not supposed to wear the dress of a sadhu. You are Papa, like you're a sin personified, because my sons have the 3 depths, and you preach to them. They gave up their duties, so they're committing that they're not paying the debts for their forefathers, how they live in this life, and in the next life you don't know what they are going to get. And you are very unkind, you are not a friend of living entities, and he goes so on. And Narada Muni, he's just sitting and he's just being quiet. But Prabhupada, he gets furious. Prabhupada, he says, despise the critics of the parents, the devotees, they continue to preach, and so forth. So Prabhupada, he speaks back. But Narada Muni, he keeps quiet. And if you know the pastime of Ajamil, when the Vishnudutas, Yamadutas, they came to Ajamil, and the Yamadutas, they got upset because they thought Yamaraj is the supreme. They know the rules, they are doing what they are supposed to do, and now somebody comes with the different rules and they are just overruled. So now they go back to Yamaraj and they are furious. And they start criticizing him and telling him everything, and Yamaraj, he is just being peaceful and he is listening to them. And with time, the Yamadutas, they calm down. They realize that, oh, actually this is a powerful personality. He didn't speak back to us. So then they start asking questions, and Yamaraj, he falls in ecstasy. He is happy to finally tell who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. So Narada Muni is using the same tactic. He is just, the person is too angry to everything, so he is just standing there, not speaking back. He's just taking all the pain and hurt of Daksha. And Daksha goes on. He goes on. Prabhupada defends Narada Muni. But then Daksha goes on even more and more and more. We expect that he calms down after some time, exhaust himself. But no, he goes even more. And at one point, Narada Muni, he could kind of just see through. And he saw through that, oh, actually, the Vaishnava aparat towards Lord Shiva that happened 4 manvantaras ago, those millions of years ago, after those millions of years of austerity, some remnants of that, even though he went to Lord Shiva, he fell on the ground, he begged forgiveness, he didn't, I don't know how, he didn't repent of it full-heartedly, or some remnants of the, some remnants of the Vaishnava aparat was still there. And Narada Muni, he could see through all these millenniums and the previous life, and he just said, whoa, remnants of Vaishnava aparat are still there. There is nothing I can do. Daksha even curses him that may you never have a residence and so forth. Narada Muni, he just leaves. And after that, what happens with Daksha comes in the 4th canto, beginning of the 4th canto. He's a Brahmana. Later, he end of the 4th canto. Later, he becomes a goat-headed Daksha. We know him like that. Later on, end of 4th chapter, we know him as the Kshatriya. Later, he comes in the Hamsa Guya prayers, the 4th chapter of the 6th canto. And this is actually the same story of the end of 4th chapter. It is the same Daksha, it is the same story, just spoken by Shukadeva Goswami in a different context. Parikshit Maharaj asked about Visarga, about secondary creation, and then he narrates the same story from the 4th. And after that, Daksha disappears from Srimad Bhagavatam. Thus he comes back in the 8th canto. He might come back, his name might be mentioned, but there is no story about him. After Narada Muni left him, what happens with Daksha? We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. He performed austerities, he came back, and he blasphemed Narada Muni, and later on what happens with him, we just don't know. And this is a very grave example of Vaishnava Parad. And this story is relative for communities in which, because of the culture, we don't express anger so obviously, but we remain, many things are unspoken, we try to resolve them within ourselves and so forth. So in the same way that anger or inability to forgive may harvest within the heart, like in Daksha's example. And when it comes out in a very ugly way. And this is just a grave example, a very sobering example of Vaishnava Parad. Or they say anger is one letter. It's such a precarious anartha. It is like one letter away from danger. And why anger, danger, danger, anger, danger, danger. Yeah, it is just one letter short from danger. And why anger is such a precarious anartha is because often it is three things. Often it is misdirected. Some examples, like Suruchi is upset with Suniti and she chastises Dhruva. Like the poor kid, it is misdirected. The boss is in a bad mood, he chastises the employee. The husband comes back to home, he is fed up, he screams on the wife. The poor wife, what she can do, she screams on the kids. And then the kid, what he can do, he takes a cat and, kills, I don't know. It's misdirected. It is also out of proportion. Some examples from Srimad Bhagavatam, where anger is out of proportion. Like you do a mistake like this and you get a punishment like this. Parikshit Maharaj, he put a snake around Shamika Rishi. And now the Shringi is coming and he's not going to the father of Parikshit and puts a dead snake. Or he doesn't go to Parikshit and puts a dead snake around his head. No. You get a big snake, not a small, and not a dead one, but a live one. Not only that, in 7 days, this big snake is going to kill you. Like, proportion is, Some other examples, disproportionate. The four Kumaras. What was the mistake they did?
Well, it's not a mistake, but it was perhaps disproportionate.
Oh, yeah,
They
no.
don't allow
Vijay.
curse by the four Kumaras, not letting them allow them access.
Oh, okay. Oh, so they did a mistake of they were perhaps negligent or what was their fault? They were too, I don't know, like.
They were bad bouncers.
Huh?
They were bad bouncers.
Bad bouncers.
Bad bouncers. So you are not doing your service like. You have to be heavy on some people, like if you're keeping a door, like you have to say no to some people, and you say no to by mistake, and you are.
Because they were naked, so they thought that was offensive. That they were so pure, it wasn't an offense.
Correct.
So therefore they cursed.
Some other examples. Also Chitraketu Maharaj, he passes a comment to Lord Shiva. He even didn't mean it to disrespect Lord Shiva because he knows Shiva's glories, like he is telling Shiva's glories, but he is thinking, oh, the people might in the future criticize Shiva because of his behavior. And the proof of that is also all those sadhus who were there, who were listening to the class, they didn't cover their ears, they didn't speak up. They all understood, oh, his intentions are good. Shiva also understood, he also kept quiet. But Parvati, no, Sati, still Sati, she just being a chaste wife, hearing his husband is being blasphemed, he says, oh, my dear son, may you die, may you take birth as a demon. You know, Chitraketu Maharaj was also there with his wives on the airplane, so she could also tell Shiva to criticize Chitraketu in front of his wives. But no, she is disproportionate. Dhruva Maharaj, he goes on his brother was killed, Uttama. He goes on a rampage, he kills not one yaksha, he kills many, that even Swayambhuva Manu had to come, and Swayambhuva Manu had to say that, oh, you know, you booked your ticket back to Godhead, don't become so overwhelmed with anger, don't throw away your booking ticket, like, just calm down. So anger is in this way. Somebody hurts you on the scale of 1 to 10 with 3, and you give back 10. And also, the one more thing about anger is that it is self-centered. We know that pride is self-centered. It is all about me and mine. But anger, in the same way, it creates like a bubble around you, and you put yourself in the center, so much so that you don't want to give up anger. So anger is a very precarious anartha. And in the examples of great devotees like Srila Prabhupada, Lord Shiva, when it is in proportion and when it is properly directed, it has a utility. But in our cases, in our cases, we should know that the laws of karma are infallible, and if we perceive the fault in others, then that ghost of bad reaction, that ghost of karma enter us. And you know, when I was small, when I was a child, when my brother used to do a mistake, I would run to my parents, because I knew if I tell to my parents that my brother did a mistake, my brother will get a bigger punishment. So my brother, he also used to run, because if he tells it, then he will get a smaller punishment. So we used to compete in that way. But sometimes it would be, no, he started first. And one person would truly be innocent, and the other person just did something bad. But when it goes back that, oh, he did it, no, he did it, he started it, both of us would get punishment. Both of us. So the laws of karma also don't ask, oh, who started first, but who is involved. Who is involved in all of that. And also in some cases, when you are a father, when you are a parent, when you are a teacher, when you are a mentor, authority, manager, guru, GBC, your duty is to correct. You have to correct. You have to say, no, oh, this person cannot stay here anymore. You have to take decisions like that. But it is like a sword with two edges. And because of it, it is a responsibility, because you get reactions. And we know when Krishna left this world, the Pandavas, they could have said that, oh, now we have more service opportunity. But no, at one point they all just retired, they all left. If you are being a parent, you can't be a parent forever. At one point you have to stop being a father, you have to stop being a mother, and you become more like a friend to your child. And we had, in 2 minutes, this was the best example. I was with my batchmates and in Govardhaniko village, and we had few teachers, and one of them, a great personality with a short temper. He would get angry so easily. And we have different personalities, and all of them serve us in some situations don't. But this person, he would get very easily angry. But at heart, everybody knew how well-wishing he is and how much he wanted the good for us. So one part was we had to make presentations, and so he said, okay, these and these points have to be there when you make a presentation. And there was one devotee from Bangladesh, a batchmate, and such a simple devotee. In some parts, they even don't know what is a laptop, like they're such a simple people. So he had to make a presentation, and it came out very horrible. And the teacher, his duty was to teach how it should look like. And the person, he just messed everything up. And he got so furious, and in front of everyone, he raised his voice, and we all just got scared that, whoa, we didn't expected it to go in this direction. It was a bit too loud, like too much. And he said what he had to say, and after it he said, in hell with this duty of being a teacher. We were just like, whoa. And he said, look at him. And everybody now look at that poor devotee who tried his best and who got so heavily chastised. He said, look at him, that's so simple-hearted. He's a real devotee. He's like, that is how a devotee should look like. And he comes to a place like this, and we spoiled him with all this technology and all of this. And he almost started to cry, like such a big shift, like you don't expect that. And the best part of all of it was when the teacher started to chase the student. But not because he was angry on him, but because he wanted to catch his feet. And devotees are so skilled in escaping and all of that. So there was a table like that, and the student had no chance. He's an experienced devotee, very fast. So he hid behind the desk, and the teacher literally jumped under the desk and catch his feet and put his hands on his head. He was like, okay, now we can continue. I was like, wow, that was so impressive. Gauranga Darshan Prabhu once said that if you're in a position of authority where you have to correct those under you, if you're a parent and so forth, you constantly remember the good qualities of the devotee. In your mind, you constantly pray, because you might do it for 1 week, 1 month, but if that's your service, you have to do it constantly. That becomes intense, and you always have to remember the good qualities and glorify the devotee within your heart and mind. And there are cases when you have to say no, or you have people whom you have to throw out of the temple, and oh no, you can't come back here anymore. But in your heart, you still respect and honor the living entity. So this was about anger and inability to forgive, and the story of Daksha. I wish to thank you for your kind attention. If there are any questions or comments, we are out of time. We are out of time.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Okay.
Just a quick point. On the last line of this verse is his activities are all spiritual. So in the last line, his activities are all spiritual. And many times you mentioned that something, and you said, what is the proof? What is the proof? So we are seeing him, and he's supposed to be all spiritual. He's not like an imaginary, not like a legend. So how you believe that he's a real person? How you believe that Daksha is a real person? All these situations, and we never see that in the world, like this kind of mystical happenings. They are like a story. How you believe that?
Oh, Prabhuji, somebody has an answer?
You're supposed to believe all these things. It's just read Srimad Bhagavatam, it's all true. How you believe that?
So Prabhu is saying that we hear many stories, but how do we know that actually this Daksha? Hare Krishna, everyone. How do you believe that all these full-heartedly that these personalities are actually real? You want to answer?
Yes, if I can offer something.
Sure, please.
I think that comes through faith. Through development of faith, which is from the association of devotees. And in this connection, Shravanjanahaya Bhakti Adhikari Uttama Madhyama Kanishta Anusari. That the degree of advancement in a devotee can actually be discerned by their level of faith. So it is faith that gives us further faith in the Bhagavatam, in the pastimes of the Bhagavatam.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Like a beautiful example is also if you spend quality time with the deities, if you spend quality time with the holy name, if you spend quality time with Srimad Bhagavatam, and if you do that regularly, you develop attachment for the deities, for the holy name, the 5 processes, the holy dham, for the Srimad Bhagavatam. And if you break the regularity, if you miss it out, for example, if you study and study regularly, and one day you don't reach Srimad, you will be missing it. And when those feelings of separation intensify, that's when you access the mercy and the blessings of the characters of Srimad Bhagavatam. And when you access the mercy and the blessings of the devotees, you can actually, you yourself, you can have a perception, you can perceive them personally. You can actually, great devotees, when they go to the holy place, they don't see the holy place, they see the pastimes of all the personalities over there. And it means that they acted in a way that they had the proper attitude, and they acted in a way that attracted the mercy of Krishna and all of those devotees, and they can perceive them. Yes.
Just a comment to that. Once I heard my spiritual master, he says Shastra means introspection. So actually all these, stories, it's not like only about Hiranyakashipu or about Daksha and about all these, stories. It's actually they're also about us. So, yeah.
Story about introspection. There are, I don't know the reference for it, but there is, we know the Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, but actually between Shravanam and Kirtanam, between hearing and speaking, there are like 5 more things in between. Whoa, 5 more things, like that's a many. And one is Shravanam, and then Patanam, like repeating, and Dhyananam, contemplating upon it, and few more. And one of our batchmates, he's a doctor, and he was the smartest from all. Like everybody went to him for notes and to prepare for the next day exam. And one day he was preparing a presentation on the Vaikunta, and one day he made the presentation. He was ready. He was even before everyone. He was ready. And one night I went out, and he was just sitting in the dark, sitting outside with closed eyes. He was sitting. I was like, that's interesting. He finished his rounds. He has no japa in his hand. So I went back, I came back later, and something like an hour passed, and I saw him, he is still sitting with closed eyes. He's just sitting. And later on, it was late night, I went to him, and I asked him, what have you been doing, sitting there? And I said, I was meditating on Vaikunta. And I was like, wow, that's a lot. Because he studied so much, he prepared so much, and then he was introspecting. That's so beautiful. Prabhu.
Yes, thank you very much. Nice presentation, a spontaneous presentation. And regarding the comment of Prabhu, what comes into my mind is a statement of Srila Prabhupada in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Just in the first purport, my Prabhupada says that the devotees, they like to come together and to speak about Krishna and everything related to Krishna, because by doing so, the energies of Krishna, they become manifested, they reveal. So devotees are experiencing the energy of Krishna by coming together and speaking about him. So it's similar when we speak about Dhruva Maharaj and Srimad Bhagavatam. It's not like fairy tale story. Devotees are experiencing this powerful message, Shakti, the Krishna energy, I would say. This is really convincing for devotees. It's not like theoretical knowledge we experience. Therefore, we have Bhagavatam lecture. So thank you very much. And in the Bhagavatam, there's also this statement, isn't it, that Krishna, one can directly perceive and see Krishna in the pages of the Bhagavatam. If you are hearing with rapt attention, you directly, it says, see Krishna on the pages of the Bhagavatam. So, it's wonderful.
Nectar.
So thank you very much in this regard for this nice presentation, for this question. And I have one question, if you allow me, because you were giving this point of age, and you mentioned Dhruva Maharaj, and immediately it means I give an example for a young person, Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, yes. But then I thought, regarding age, give an example maybe for a person in old age, and then we have the example of Khatavanga, isn't it? Maharaj Khatavanga. He just in the one moment before he died, he kind of surrendered. Can you maybe say something more about this pastime and incident? Are you?
Yeah, let's put it this way. This is very intriguing, and we can have some mutual studies done together. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
After the class, yeah. Thank you. But I like the way you stretch the topic, that not only young but also old, and age is really irrelevant. If you want to serve Krishna, age is not an obstacle. Old age is also a very good example. And also, I just want to point out, like, great personalities, they ask questions not because they don't know, but because they want to benefit the speaker and they want to benefit all of them. So thank you for putting up the question. The last question.
It's not really a question, but a comment. So you were giving the example of how devotional service is like a pot, and if there's a hole, and then it leaks, and then this hole is like Vaishnava aparat. And one simple analogy that I had in mind, there's an analogy that Srila Prabhupada gives, I think in the second canto somewhere, about how the creeper of devotional service, when we are watering it, sometimes also weeds grow. And as we are watering it, weeds are also watered, and sometimes they also grow. And Srila Prabhupada was saying that these weeds are caused by Vaishnava aparat. And then he was talking about how to uproot these weeds. There was a nice purport, and I wanted to mention this. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi.